Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. I want to look at arguments for the horizon and its alleged drop as we go high above the Earth, because that's one thing that's supposed to happen according to the globe Earth model, but doesn't in fact happen in reality. And even though anyone can go and look and test and find this out for themselves, almost anywhere on the Earth, just by looking and trying to understand how we actually see the world around us and the way perspective works, then you can understand that the horizon is in fact your eye level. It has nothing to do with the shape of the Earth. In fact, let's say straight out, what horizons do, the way they work, the way we see them, doesn't prove anything about the shape of the Earth. It doesn't prove that we're on a globe, or a flat Earth or level Earth. The way horizons work in our eyes doesn't prove anything about the assumed shape, size, dimensions of the Earth. All right, let's make that clear. The problem is that the argument persists because of this attachment to the globe Earth model and the idea that horizons are the edge of where the curvature begins to go down and away from us and takes things out of sight. This is of course because we've been repeatedly told that ships go off over the horizon, they go down a curve, just to justify and make some kind of explanation for this globe Earth belief. All right, but the fact is that that doesn't happen in reality. So of course horizons are a big thing to discuss, but what you see happening is, instead of honesty or intellectual honesty about what we see and the way we see the world around us, we have attempts to say, oh, the horizon drops below eye level, so we must be living on a globe. You can't, the flat Earth is impossible. All these things. It's just a way of trying to find some kind of prop for the belief. But again, to me, it doesn't tell us that we live on a world of any shape or size in particular, simply because horizons are the limit of the distance that we can see or need to see as human beings and our immediate surroundings. And this is also an important aspect of horizons to understand, is that the horizon is your eye level, okay? And you have to know that with or without instruments or measuring tools, okay? But we're going to look at how you can measure it. But in reality, in our survival mode, as it were, to exist and thrive and survive on this Earth, we have to know where we are. And the horizon tells us our height in relation to everything around us, okay? It is an indicator of our eye level. You don't need any other machinery, you don't need anything else telling you what's what. You can tell by yourself, because we intrinsically know how our vision works to tell us what is happening in our surroundings, yeah? But of course we know at the same time, when you think about it, that things in reality don't appear the way we see them. Perspective makes this apparent convergence of the surface and the sky coming together in the distance, okay? That's the horizon, or the band of convergence. It's just a limit to how far we can see. So you could argue, if you wanted, that the Earth is so big you can't tell. Agreed. It doesn't make any difference. The problem is that there is this refusal to accept that perspective governs every single observation that we make, because that is what gives us what we see, and at the same time we have to interpret it. So people seem to either deliberately not understand what's going on their eyes, or they just haven't really thought about it and really seen what's going on. So in here I pulled up some academic information about perspective and eye level, And so we'll use that as our basis. And then we'll look at more examples like this. But let me just quickly go through what I'm showing you here. I mean, you've probably been looking at it while I've been blabbing away. But here we have, this is, I think it's from a video, that, or it may be just another screenshot, I'm not sure. But this is related to these claims from pilots that are defending their belief in the globe and trying to tell flat earthers that they're stupid or don't understand how things work. My whole point all along has been trying to explain how our eyes work regardless of the shape of the earth. You see, this is not, you see that there's this misunderstanding among the globe earth believers that if they admit that the horizon is your eye level, or we often hear the horizon rises to your eye level, that's because we see this surface appear to rise, and that we know that's what happens with flat surfaces or corridors or whatever, train tracks. There's this apparent convergence which doesn't actually happen. So we've got this non-Euclidean geometric way of explaining how perspective works. So you can use geometry to explain how perspective works, and it pretty much turns out to be the same as the dimensions of the globe Earth, or at least the ratios used. And so really, without getting too deep into it, that has been hijacked, and the geometry of perspective has been passed off as physical curvature on the surface of the Earth in order to map it out and project it in certain ways that make sense. Latitude lines, longitude lines, time, distance. Distance is really just turned into angles and arc length of an assumed circle to represent distances. So you can have your distances on a Cartesian coordinate system on a flat plane. You can have those Cartesian coordinates A to B, and they can be then projected onto a spherical projection, if you like, with some mathematical manipulation. Anyway, without digressing too much into navigation on a spherical Earth, maybe worth doing in another video, let's just have a look at the argument and again reiterate that to me it doesn't prove the shape of the Earth. There's no harm in anyone admitting how we see reality. That's all what I've wanted to express in the past few years of doing this. But as I said, you have these arguments, and one that's come up fairly recently is one that keeps being repeated because it appears to be some kind of proof that the horizon drops from eye level. And it's just a straw man argument because this line on the heads-up display is referred to as eye level or level. It represents the aircraft's level, so it is then kind of used or interchanged with the word eye level, and then this claim is that oh look, the horizon drops from eye level. But this is either deliberate obfuscation, ignorance, or just the inability to realize that when we talk about eye level, we are talking about our subjective view from our eyes. And of course, if you've taken a picture, then it is the subjective view of the camera. So when you have a wide view in front of you, then your eye level, the camera's eye level, is basically the center of that field of view, as long as it's a straightforward, horizontal, perpendicular to plumb, as it were, direction or heading, okay? Then fine, that's eye level. You have an eye level line of sight. Your eye level can also be referred to in terms of your height, okay? And as I said earlier, the horizon tells you your height at your eye level. It tells you your eye level in relation to everything else. So you can talk about eye level as height. And that's what the horizon does in reality, regardless of the shape of the Earth. But you have this argument that the horizon drops. So here I've just shown that, you know, by measuring the height of this image, you can then find the very center and you can draw a line across it. And this tells us that this camera was in fact looking straight ahead because we have a horizon in the center. And so let's have a look at now at the academic descriptions of how horizons and eye levels work, and then we'll go through a few other photographs which I find really good to prove prove the point that we're talking about when the horizon is always at our eye level. So this is an extract from the Department of Art course at Brigham Young University in Idaho. We'll quickly go through some of the examples they've got here. The terms horizon line and eye level are often used synonymously. Horizon line or eye level refers to a physical or visual boundary where sky separates from land or water. It is the actual height of the viewer's eyes when looking at an object, interior scene or an exterior scene. However, the term horizon line generally refers to drawings that are outdoors, while eye level generally refers to drawings that are indoors. It is also a reference line in linear perspective that extends parallel left or right on the format. And just a quick note here, the format is the entire height and width of the drawing paper, the canvas, illustration board, photograph, etc. in two-dimensional art. So of course we know that we can create a three-dimensional impression that looks more realistic if we incorporate perspective and horizons and eye levels into the scene that we've got on our entire canvas. So keep that point in mind as well when we look at the entire photograph that has been taken of a certain view, whether it's through a heads-up display or whatever. Yeah, we're looking at the entire canvas and how perspective is playing a role, and eye level, and where is eye level. So here we've got some examples of eye levels and horizon lines. Click the thumbnails to view the overlaid lines. So that's what we're going to do here, but just quickly here we can see immediately without any guides that we have for artistic purposes and for the focus of the photograph, obviously it's a large part of it is taken up with these people in canoes. That's the focus of the photograph. There's nothing really going on in the background or in the sky. So we can see that we have got a view where we're looking down on these people. We are at a higher eye level, okay? And so our height is higher than the people in the photograph, and so we have to tilt down to look at them, and that tilting down makes the horizon come up, and you can see it in the photograph there anyway, but there is the horizon line highlighted in green. Okay, so again, this is representing or telling us through our eyes or the camera lens how high we are compared to everything else in the scene, especially the foreground. The background becomes kind of obsolete. It's not in our immediate surroundings, so it becomes less detailed, and you just get an idea of distance until the horizon. Yeah, so we can see now that yes, you can tilt the camera, and often there's this argument that it doesn't make any difference if you tilt the camera, your eye level remains the same. Absolutely true, but when it comes to lining things up, if you're going to make claims about aligning something in the foreground with the background, then something's buzzing, I'm not sure what. If you're going to align things in the foreground with the horizon in the background and talk about eye level, then you have to at least line the foreground up with your actual eye level. So that would be the center of your field of view with a horizontal view. You have to be at least somewhat scientific about it, don't you? So yes, you can tilt the camera and your eye level doesn't change, but of course the horizon will appear to change if we tilt our view. All right, here's another one that has a horizon line, and we can see that this is a fairly straightforward view. Yeah, so that horizon line is going to be probably more towards the center. Yeah, there it is. Okay, we've got this green line here showing the height of that person. So they're on this slope. Those stacks in front of that person, or the portrait taker, the photographer, are about that eye level, that person's eye level. Those further down are below the eye level. Yeah, and of course the horizon is there extending into the distance. Yeah, so that's kind of fairly straightforward, isn't it? It's almost in the middle there. So here we've got an inside one, and so again thinking of in terms of the focus of the photograph and how it's supposed to be portrayed. An interior photograph like this of a kitchen might be in some kind of sales brochure for selling the house. So you would want this view that approximates a real person's view. So you can see that this is maybe angled down towards the floor more, because the ceiling doesn't have any impact. We're focusing on what's in the kitchen. And so what we end up with is an eye level here, as you can see near the top. That's the height of the camera, but we can see that we're also tilted down. That would bring our horizon up higher in the photograph. Okay, and here's an example of what is immediately obvious as a lower eye level. Have a look, see where you think the eye level is. It's not high, is it? But where do you think it is? Is it in line with the table, the doors over there, or the sofa? Well, it's right there. Again, almost in the center. We're just looking straight ahead. But maybe this is the perspective of someone sitting in a chair. So that's the eye level perspective that has been given for this shot. Right then. This is very interesting and very well explained. Eye level and horizon line. All three of these images show people in relation to the horizon line of the ocean. The subtle differences of where their eyes are relative to the horizon tells us that the boy with the guitar is slightly above the viewer's eye level. His eyes are above the horizon, yeah? The woman is right at the viewer's eye level, with the horizon in the background level with her eyes, and that is also the photographer's eye level, yeah? And so everything is aligned there. That's what we're talking about, getting that alignment at eye level. It's important to have that established in the first place. And the man in front of the boat is slightly below the viewer's eye level, so you can see that the horizon is higher than his eyes, so his eye level is lower than our eye level. Our eye level is told to us by the horizon, yeah? The horizon tells us our eye level. This is evident everywhere we look, all right? So just having a quick look at how perspective works here. Eye level and horizon line. In the drawing above, the eyes of the eyes of each of the old masters are placed on the horizon line. They need an editor. The eye level and horizon line then in this drawing also appear to be the same as the viewers. So basically, yeah, it's created an eye level for this perspective drawing, and of course you know, these geometric or even trigonomic rules, laws, ways of explaining perspective can come into play. You can explain what's going on here mathematically to create that three-dimensional effect, or this, you know, the way showing us the way perspective works. Yeah. So I had to stop there and get a fan. It's getting very hot. So let's carry on with this. Eye level and horizon line. Both horizon line and eye level lines are always perfectly horizontal, even when the land is sometimes at a slope. That kind of makes sense, yeah? So here we have a fairly straightforward photograph here. We're looking straight ahead pretty much, and we have eye level and horizon line called the same thing from our point of view. The eye level of the photographer, and you can see very easily how high that photographer is in relation to everything else around him or her. This is a good one to think about when you see ships or even the sun going off into the distance and being cut off at the horizon. In this photograph you can see these mountains which create a skyline, and then you have a horizon line there. So it says here, be careful not to confuse skyline with horizon line. They're separate. Skyline is also where the sky and land meet, but is generally in reference to mountains which are almost always above the actual horizon line or eye level, as you can see here. So basically anything on or above the earth is part of the sky portion of our view. It's separated at the horizon. That's where the surface ends, okay? The surface stops. We stop seeing the surface at our horizon, and everything else coming down or on the surface is actually in the sky portion. So because every surface in nature is rugged and there's just a limit to how far we can see the extent of that surface, eventually anything that's in the sky portion, as it goes off into the distance, will just become obscured and consumed by this, what I like to call, band of convergence. There's just a limit to where things will appear to us as they get further away into the distance, because of various things, just the limit of our eyesight, the air around us, the weather, and all these other things. They all play a part in limiting the distance that we can see. Another thing to consider as well is that with mountains, for example, if we had this view of the mountain, we're down here, and the sun goes across over the mountain, it disappears beyond the mountain, we're stationary, the sun moves away beyond the mountain, what's going to happen? That mountain will block the sun for us, right? We won't be able to see the sun. And actually what will happen is the mountain will cast a shadow, and once the sun has gone a certain distance, then every part of land beyond those mountains will be in shadow. So this physical mountain remains, just as the clouds are there and everything else that's creating this dense air. And so there's always going to be things in the sky portion of our field of view that actually cut off the sun. So it doesn't matter how far away you are from that mountain, you could be hundreds or thousands of miles away from that mountain, and it's still casting a shadow at its significant height above the earth and a big proportion of the sky view as well. Although we might not be able to see it from where we are, it's still having that effect on the sunlight that has gone beyond it. It's a perfectly reasonable explanation of what's actually happening with the sun, getting cut off as it goes off into the distance, consumed by that horizon. Now, this is a good little series of photographs here, just the last one on this page, which really shows us how eye level changes things and the scene that we see. In this photograph here, you can see, let's just read what it says. With the knowledge of eye level and perspective, convergent lines and pitch, an artist can control the physiological sensation of the viewer. So can basically put you somewhere in the room and have you, obviously looking at it from a certain perspective. He can create the illusion for the viewer of looking up at an object, right at it, or below it. The same will be true with interior or exterior environments. Okay, so have a look at this photograph here. It's obviously taken at about the same level. Taken about the same level as the person sitting down there, and we can see chairs there. Okay, we can see that the room kind of is, the wall of the room is further away, but there's a lot going on above the surface here that we can't really see. It's blocked by everything in front of us, okay, because we've got this low view. All right, now our eye level, I'll just highlight that here, is about midway. Okay, there it is, that's our height, and so that's where eventually the surface and the sky will converge in our view if that room was opened up and we could see endlessly, right? So the next photograph, you can immediately tell, is taken from a higher eye level, right? You can see more detail, you can see beyond those first chairs, okay? You can see that there are actually people sitting down there. So we've got more detail of the surface than we had before when we were at a lower elevation, yeah? So we can also automatically tell that we're higher up. So let's just have a look at where the eye level is in this shot, and it's right up here. Again, the camera's tilted down, the eye level is up there, and almost at the top of the room there, and we're looking down. So we can clearly see our eye level, and yes, that would be our horizon if everything was opened up and we could see off into the distance. The surface would appear to rise up to this particular point, yeah? And this next photograph gives us an even higher eye level. That's easily discernible here. So everything on the surface now is opening up a lot more. We can see the chairs. You can see more even space between the tables and the chairs. Okay, it just gives us a better view of the surface, of everything that's going on the surface. So again, that surface would go off into the distance up to this eye level here, and then everything on or above the surface would comprise the sky portion of our view, right? So the eye level is always going to be your horizon, and your horizon is always going to tell you where you are in your relation to everything else. That's its job. That's how our vision works, to help us survive and get around on this earth. Okay? Now let's go and have a look at some examples of that. So let's very briefly just touch on this Red Bull jump, a record-breaking skydiving jump from the stratosphere apparently. Here's the guy jumping out of a gondola under a balloon that's gone up several kilometers or miles into the air above the earth. So of course here we have a very curved horizon, and that's simply because we have fisheye lenses on these cameras that are taking these photographs to capture a very close-up scene, but with a wide angle. So that's a result of what happens with these wide-angle cameras, such as GoPros. You'll get this bendy horizon. I don't think people would really assume that they're actually seeing curvature like this. It would make the world a very, very small place if if it was just looking like that. So I think it's kind of obvious to anyone that this is an exaggerated background of apparent curvature. But of course what happens when we take a view from inside, we see a different scene here. This could well be another wide-angle fisheye lens, but because we're looking in more of a straightforward, straight-ahead direction, there may be some tilt here, we can see a horizon that's not bulging. Now, is this horizon representing our eye level? Has that horizon at 38 kilometers or 24 miles high above the earth still risen to our eye level? And where is the center of the picture in relation to this? Now remember, I said that if you're aligning things in front of you to talk about things being aligned or not with eye level, then you must have a camera that's facing straight ahead. You have a directly horizontal or perpendicular to plumb view, and then the center of your image is eye level. Only then it's an eye level line of sight. But if your line of sight is tilted up or down, then yes, you still have your horizon at eye level, but you may see more or less of the surface or the sky portion above or below your horizon. Yeah. So just to quickly show how you can measure these images and see where the horizon is or eye level and which way and where the photograph is pointing. So it looks fairly close, but what we have here is an image that is 1,275 pixels wide, tall. Okay, and so down here you'll see some numbers that can move about, hopefully. Now I'm going to bring this guy down to halfway, so it's in the center of the field of view, and that should be 637. So 0.5. So I'm just bringing that down. 624, 636. Okay, we can even. It's gone too far now. So 636. I'll leave it there. Let me just draw a line across that so you can see it. That's where. Okay. All right. That's the center of the camera. That's okay. That's in halfway into the thing. So we can see now that the horizon in this case is above this center line. Okay, but the horizon is our eye level. We're actually pointing down slightly, so you can see that the horizon here is in line with this shoulder part of the skydiver, and that is the eye level of the camera. Okay, so the horizon, yeah, becomes our indicator of our eye level. Okay, that's the height of the camera, but the red line shows us which direction we're pointing down. Think of it like shooting at a target or something like that. Yeah. Okay. The center is always going to be where we're aiming. Yeah. So anything if you want to hit the target, then you have to have the target aligned in the center. Yeah. As long as your scope is calibrated properly. But if you start pointing to things around here above the center or below the center, they are not in line with your eye level or the direction that you're pointing. Obviously, if it's horizontal, fine, you shoot straight ahead. If it's up or down, you've got to aim it in that direction. So, these are the kinds of things that you've got to consider when you're talking about explaining or claiming that things drop above or below eye level. Okay, so the horizon again here is the indicator of our eye level. It tells us our eye level in relation to what we can see going on in our immediate foreground. It's always there. It's part of our background. Okay, so it's not anything to do with geometric curvature. I mean, that's probably just all cloud and stuff. It's just very white. You probably can't see much detail at all in the surface because it's so high up. Yeah, but that everything below us becomes our surface, and we still have a horizon created in our eyes. All right, so hopefully that makes sense of that. Now, let's just quickly show this one. I'm not sure if this is from a simulator or not. Really don't know, but it's just a good example of, here we have a tilted horizon, so we are tilting as well. We can tell that. But where are we in relation? What's our height? Again, the horizon here is telling us that we are as high as or our eye level is as high as this tail fin here on this aircraft, and that aircraft in the foreground is slightly below us. And the horizon tells us that. It gives us this information about our immediate surroundings. Yeah, so that's just one of those things. Now, obviously, what happens sometimes is, I've no idea if this is a real photograph or it's been manipulated, but what you have here is these four aircraft, and you don't have a horizon there because everything's become it's just there's atmosphere, weather going on, cloudy, whatever, misty. It's indistinct, so there is no horizon, but we can still ascertain our eye level in relation to the things in the field of view. All right, I really like this shot of the Suez Canal in the distance, taken from Alexandria in Egypt. Now you can see immediately that we're obviously at a fairly high elevation. This might have been taken from a condo or a hotel room, I'm not sure, but what we can see in the distance is this horizon line that is the Suez Canal, a big body of water that stretches off into the distance. And again, it tells us where our eye level is. Doesn't matter whether we're pointing down, which obviously this photograph is pointing down a bit, so we can see the traffic and everything, and there's less of a portion of sky, but that horizon line tells us our height in relation to everything else we see. We can see that we're about the same height as the tops of these buildings. Okay, some of these may be higher, and so you see how those top anything above is really in our sky portion of our field of view. And so anything like this building here, these buildings there, they are part of the surface field of view. So their relationship tells us exactly how high we are in relation to everything else there, just because the horizon always appears at our eye level. It tells us our eye level. It's simply not geometric curvature. It's, again, information of our surroundings, so we've got a very good idea of our immediate surroundings. Yeah, it's a survival thing. We just have to know how high we are. And so what I want to do is just have a quick look at some other photographs that really illustrate this. We're going to have some photographs from different angles here, but what do we see here? We see a horizon up here, okay, quite high up, so that's our eye level. The horizon that we see is our eye level, all the way across where this surface is, yeah? And so we can see that this viewing platform on this tower, this kind of glass donut, is lower than us, okay? And the horizon is up there above it, showing us the eye level. Okay. Look at the pier. The pier is over there. It's off in the distance, so it's kind of gone further up in the surface. Just one of these things to notice is that we've got a smaller space between the pier and the horizon in our view, but it's probably many, many, many more miles across than this short distance we can see here, but that short distance is taking up a large portion of our field of view. We see a lot of detail close up, and that's again essential for our survival. There's no point in being able to see things that are many, many miles away. We want to see what's going on in our immediate surroundings, yeah? And we need to know exactly where we are in relation to everything else. It just makes sense that this is how we see the world, yeah? You can tell without measuring anything and instinctively how high you are in relation to everything else, yeah? And the horizon is what's telling us that, whether we realize that consciously or subconsciously. That's our biggest clue and indicator about where we are. And so what we'll see is, if when we look at other photographs, now you can immediately tell where we are in relation to that glass donut again. The horizon this time is much, much lower in our view. So again, it's telling us how high we are. That horizon line cuts across here. You could cut it across there. Okay, I'll just maybe draw this on. Okay, so this green line is our eye level. That's how high we are in relation to this thing in the foreground. Yeah, we're higher than the pier over there. We're not higher than the clouds. They're all coming down. They're in the sky portion of our view. Everything eventually gets condensed over here at our horizon. This is your eye level. It tells you exactly where you are in relation to everything else. Yeah, the glass donut is higher than our eye level. So the horizon tells us that. Yeah. And we'll just have another one more photograph here. It's not so clear, this one, but again we can see here that we've got more of a a straightforward view, a horizontal view more so, that is at about the same eye level as this glass donut here. So it's neither higher nor lower than us, or there you can see the horizon is telling us right there where we are in relation to, oops, yeah, that should be a bit of a straight line, yeah, that's where we are in relation to everything else. That's our eye level. The horizon tells us our eye level. It's really as simple as that. So when we go back to pictures like this and you use those same ways of measuring, you can see that this horizon seen in the photograph here is our eye level. That's the eye level of the camera in relation to everything else. Yeah. What we can do here is just do some quick maths if you like. 1536 is the height of this, so 1536 divided by 2 gives us 768. So 768. I'm going to take this down to 768. 772, 768, there you go, boom, smack bang in the middle. So we can pretty much assume with this photograph that the photographer has taken this horizontal, straightforward looking view at eye level. And of course the eye level of the view, the eye level of the observer is shown with the horizon. Okay, whatever's going on in the foreground is really just a straw man argument. This line, this horizontal line on the heads-up display is just an indicator. It doesn't magically appear at our eye level or the camera's eye level. You could move around and be anywhere. Yes, you would see the screen. The screen can follow you around. That whole display can give you a lot of flexibility. It's designed to do that, but it doesn't mean that this horizontal line on the heads-up display is your personal eye level. This is all subjective, yeah? The horizon anyone or any camera sees is subjective. It's always going to be a representation of that eye level. So just to finish this off, to remind you that what we're seeing on this heads-up display as far as the horizontal lines are concerned is just one of these, an artificial horizon. Now that is usually on a dashboard that the pilot has to look down to, take his or her eyes off the sky around them where they're actually going. So the whole idea of just is transferring this and other instruments onto the heads-up display so that they are displayed in front of the pilot's eyes. They don't necessarily have to conform with the view that they see, but it does happen that the horizon line here on the heads-up display will go up on the display and rise up as the aircraft gains altitude. So, but again, you can take your photograph any way you like to try and get this discrepancy between the horizon and what you're referring to as level. But it's just the aircraft's level indicator. It's not your subjective eye level. So that's why I love these photographs, and because they bring them along as arguments, and they're strawman arguments by pointing to something above the actual eye level of the camera's view and saying, oh, the horizon's dropped below level. And it's, well, no, the horizon hasn't gone anywhere. It is your eye level, and you are deliberately misinterpreting what we're seeing and ignoring how perspective works in order to defend a belief in a globe that the horizon must drop from eye level. Again, this is a pointless, useless argument that only shows that they're desperate to try and defend a belief because they don't want to think that, or they think that admitting that the horizon is your eye level somehow debunks the globe or proves flat Earth. It doesn't. It just proves that, you know, we see the world in this way, and that's it. Then you can start using real physics to talk about the shape of the Earth rather than talking about observations and making interpretations of those observations depending on a preferred model. So this isn't about proving a model. This is not about proving one thing or the other. What it proves is that the horizon is your eye level, regardless of what you believe the shape of the Earth to be. And so these people defending their belief in the globe or attacking so-called flat earthers or truth seekers with this the horizon drops below level argument are just proving that they aren't being intellectually honest, and they're defending a belief and doing so needlessly because there's nothing they have to give up except an idea or a concept. All right? So as I've always said, perspective is the imaginary curve, and the geometry of perspective is what ends up being used to describe us living on a spherical Earth, when we can see that it's usually level and this idea of a curve is non-existent in our reality. Thank you very much.
Click subscribe and the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications of new videos from Phuket Word.